Amy, what did you admire about David S. Goyer and Christopher Nolan's vision for Superman, their thrilling sort of retelling of the origin story?
I love that it was such a reimagining. It wasn't, people have said a reinvention, but I always see it as a reimagining because they've really still respected the canon of Superman and really kind of gone deep into some of the stories that hadn't been explored before. So I really loved, and I love the way that they made Lois proactive from a selfish character point of view. I love that she was on the inside track. She knew who Clark was and had figured him out before the world did, and so it allowed for her to be a part of the resolution.
And where do we find Lois in her life when we first meet her in the film?
Oh, she's full throttle. She's like no guts, no glory. Like she's just ambition, and she believes in what she's doing. She loves her job. She believes she's doing it for a noble cause. She's telling the truth. The world deserves to know, and that changes.
And I like the fact that although she still works for a newspaper, blogging is involved, and it feels very modern journalism, doesn't it?
Exactly. She's she's leaking to a blogger, and she's kind of a lone wolf in that way, yeah.
How impressed were you by Henry Cavill's dedication to the role of Superman?
Very impressed. I mean, when I first met him, it was like looking the way he does and sort of having his natural charm. It would have been easy for him to fall back on that, but he didn't. He worked really hard, not only on his physique, but on the character, and he really spent time developing this person's story, and you could tell he felt it, and I was really impressed with him.
And there is some charm and flirtation there, isn't there? And even in the interrogation scene when he's been arrested. How much did you enjoy building that relationship with Henry?
I really enjoyed that. I think Henry has a fantastic sense of humor, and he just does have this natural charm, and it's just fun for the world to get to find all of this out about him.
Now, when I was growing up, I think British actors in Hollywood movies tended to just play the villains, but now we've got Andrew Garfield and Christian Bale, and of course Henry Cavill.
I know.
Do you think British people might make particularly good superheroes? Have we got any attributes that would suggest that?
Yeah, I think there's this humility that's still celebrated in your culture, where I think sometimes Americans celebrate swagger a bit more, if that makes sense. And I don't think it necessarily suits a superhero of this kind. I think that his gentleman nature and his sort of sense of his just sensibility, it just lends for such a complex, masculine and yet tender role or being, yeah.
And we're used to seeing Superman rescuing a Lois Lane in peril, and we do see that in this movie, but to what extent would you see Lois as maybe rescuing Superman?
Well, I think that the fact that Jor-El gives her the information and entrusts her intellect and entrusts her with his son, there's that, and so she really does have the solution because she's been given it by Jor-El, which is fantastic. So she is a real part of the solution, and she does give him the information needed to help fix the problem.
And you regularly meet journalists, of course, when you're promoting your movies.
Yes.
Have you picked up any tips along the way when you've been interviewed yourself?
I'm like, the best journalists always pretend to be your friend, I suppose. And so it's a lot easier to, a lot easier to catch flies with honey than with vinegar, right?
And why do you feel Zack Snyder was the right man to bring back Superman? Why maybe was the right time? Obviously, it's 75th birthday of the character.
Well, there's that. I think that Zack has a wonderful sensibility when it comes to visual, but he also has a great emotional connection with his characters, and I recognize that from his other films too. You can always sense the thread of emotion, and that is very important to him. And I think it was important to, show him in a new way and to bring about this kind of identifiable Man of Steel that has complete vulnerabilities, who has a melting point, so to speak,
Amy Adams, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very much.